Now move on to the market. On the NSE today, we see the market slightly higher, just up about 0.2%. Abdul Garba is standing by at Dunn Loren Merrifield to talk us through the numbers. Abdul, thank you very much for joining us. And
thank you.
I think the key takeaway right now to start with is Dangote Sugar. It's released its results, revenues up about 46%. We're beginning to see a reaction in the share price as the company is declaring a dividend of 50 kobo.
Yes, we are seeing a reaction in share prices. People, basically investors, are selling off. There's a gradual sell-off of that as observed in the market. That's to be expected. It's coming as a bad news in terms of not in terms of profitability, but expectations in the side of forecast earnings. Forecast earnings, as estimates have on, especially on terminals like Bloomberg, you have about 11 billion naira forecasted for the year end, and then your figure just falls slightly short of that.
Okay, we'll be breaking down those numbers with the CEO later on the show. But if we move on to other sectors, we see PZ also up today, Unilever higher. Of course, the company PZ has released numbers, and it seems the market is also rewarding it with a share price uptick.
Sorry, I didn't...
Yes, if you can hear me now, I wanted to get your thoughts on the reaction we're seeing to PZ's results. We're seeing the share price move higher today.
Okay, the share price up, fine. PZ's results were also on the positive note, but in terms of continuing operations, but then again, it's been impacted by, it has reported that it was impacted by the conflict in the northern areas, especially regard sales and expenses and distribution. That we should see in some time, and we believe that the market has factored some of that into the price. Those sort of expectations as reflected in the company, in news announcements and all.
All right, if we move on to the banking sector, of course, it's still earnings seasons. Fidelity Bank released, Skybank also released yesterday, and we've seen some reactions to the share price. A lot of people saying Fidelity Bank's results were above expectations. But your thoughts about how the market is reacting to those results in particular?
Yeah, well, it's a bit of a lull there with the banking sector. The results are better than expected. And, well, it is critical that the banking sector publishes these sort of numbers, because that's exactly what would be able to, as a key component for the market capitalization and the index, it's very, very key that these numbers are strong, and that should provide the support level for the NSE as a whole.
Okay, and where do you see value in this market right now, in your view? Should we be picking up the banks? Of course, there's been some volatility there. Or should we be looking elsewhere to, say, companies like PZ Cussons after releasing numbers?
Well, we'll still stick, I'd say, my opinion, I'll go with the banks. But banks in this perspective will not be the top tier ones, or basically the ones that are out there in the picture and, you know, covered and basically bought by almost everyone. What you have is those that have been punished, you know, somewhat like Diamond Bank, which, of course, with a cut in its dividend announcement, has had the market overreacting.
Okay.
I believe overreacting to that. More and more people lean on the dividend side, how much pay they can get out of such banks.
Okay. So, if we move back to the banking sector, of course, Skybank's released its results, and I think a lot of people are very happy with the dividend they paid. Some concerns around the fourth quarter numbers, and we'll be getting to that in a little bit when we speak to the CEO. But your thoughts about the importance of dividends in this season and the fact that we're seeing more and more companies being rewarded for a fairly high dividend payout?
Yes, and more companies, it seems we are back to, in my opinion, a period where dividend payments and corporate actions used to be rewarded. We used to reward stock returns. But in the past few years, what we had seen was quite the reverse. It was more of stocks that traded at a discount, or basically they were cheaper to acquire in terms of accounting value than with the market price.
Okay.
What would bring returns in the past, but we're seeing a switch over to the regime we had before that. So more and more people are interested in dividends. Lack of dividends will be punished.
All right. Your thoughts on Okomu Oil? Of course, that stock rallied after the company announced its corporate action, a one-for-one bonus. I think a lot of people jumped on that one. But it seems to be coming down now, and I want to get your thoughts on where it's likely to settle in your view. Do you think it's still going to trend lower, or is this a good time to start picking up the stock?
Well, it's still pretty strong on the dividend yield side. 7 naira for something close to 100. It's still rich for that, and then the stability of that is not to be tested. Everyone kind of knows that, or let's say the market knows in entirety, it's a business line that incomes are sustainable. So I don't see much falling way below the current levels it is.
All right, and UBA also falling back. It's rallied recently as well. Still expecting the company to release its results, but your thoughts on that counter?
Well, it's in tandem anticipation for the banks as well, and you should expect that.